Welcome to the Compassionate Newsroom, your gateway to transforming the heart and soul of journalism. I'm your host, Dr. Kortni Alston Lemon. I'm a former news director and television reporter turned happiness scholar. Now I train news leaders and journalists worldwide, teaching them how to cultivate workplace well-being and resilience with positive psychology. Each week, join me as I share evidence-based strategies and talk with some of the most inspiring people in the industry, including news leaders, journalists, trainers, and mental health experts. Together, we'll share actionable approaches to help you. Imagine a newsroom that not only cares about the story, but profoundly values the people behind them. A place where compassion is the competitive advantage. Don't just listen, become part of this transformative journey. Subscribe to and share the Compassionate Newsroom. Let's champion a more supportive, healthier, and happier newsroom culture, one episode at a time. Happy Wellbeing Wednesday. I'm Dr. Kortni. Today's episode is deeply personal. We're gathering around the heart of Juneteenth, not just to reflect on history, but to honor humanity, to remember resilience, and to commit as leaders, journalists, change makers to the future to where empathy leads. So take a breath, take a pause, because you're welcomed here. Juneteenth commemorates June 19th, 1865, the day enslaved people in Galveston, Texas were finally informed of their freedom. More than 2 years after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed. As a Gen Xer, I will admit this, I was never taught about Juneteenth in school. It wasn't in our textbook. It wasn't in our curriculum. But years later, when I was a reporter in Houston, I had the privilege of covering Juneteenth on Galveston Island, the very place where that historic announcement was made. Standing in that space, hearing the stories, and witnessing the celebrations made it real for me in a way no history book ever had. That was the moment the legacy of Juneteenth truly came alive for me. And now I'm moved to see it being discussed more widely, celebrated more boldly, and honored more deeply across this country. Still, for many of us, especially Black Americans, Juneteenth is not only a historical milestone, but it's part of our family story. I am the great-granddaughter of a slave. The truth lies in my bloodline, my breath, my bones, and my work, my voice, and this podcast. I often say that compassion is not weakness. It's not weakness at all. Compassion is radical. It's powerful. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. said it best, true compassion is more than a flinging a coin to a beggar. It comes to see that a system that produces beggars needs to be repaved. We are called to be the Good Samaritans, but after you lift so many people out of the ditch, you start to ask, maybe the whole road to Jericho needs to be repaved. That is the essence of compassionate leadership. It's just not about responding to suffering. It's about challenging the systems that perpetuate it. Now, to be compassionate is to see others fully, is to be curious instead of critical, is to hold space for pain and still believe in the possibility of joy. Industry often rewards toughness and detachment. But what if we honored care? What if we honored care as deeply as we honored deadlines? What if we made room for humanity of our colleagues, our communities, and ourselves? This is the vision of the Compassionate Newsroom. And it's what Juneteenth inspires in me, the courage to make room, not just for grief and memory, but for joy and justice too. One of my greatest inspirations in my leadership was United States First Lady Rosalynn Carter. I was honored to be appointed by her to serve as an advisory board member for the Carter Center's Mental Health Journalism Fellowship. Actually, it's titled the Rosalynn Carter Fellowship for Mental Health Journalism. Her work, her life's work, it shaped me. It has shaped me on so many profound ways. She once said this: do what you can to show you care about others, and you will make our world a better place. Mrs. Carter modeled the kind of visionary compassion that changes lives. And through her legacy, I am reminded that compassionate leadership not only sees the moment, it sees the potential in people and pushes them towards purpose. Here's what I know. Compassionate journalism is not optional. It's necessary. And so I invite my fellow newsroom leaders, journalists, to reflect on this Juneteenth. Ask yourself this question: do our teams feel psychologically safe, seen, supported? And if the answer is, well, not yet, that's okay. The work begins with awareness and then with intentionality. Here's a few ways to honor Juneteenth through your leadership. Create space in your coverage for historical context and with modern day voices. Encourage your team to engage in wellness practices, not to just prevent burnout, but to foster thriving, flourishing. Build mentorship pipelines for marginalized groups and amplify their stories from trauma to celebration. And we owe it. We owe it to our future and to the generations who came before us to lead with empathy. Let's pause here together. I want you to place your feet on the ground, and I want you to breathe in. Now I want you to slowly exhale. I want you to think of someone in your journey whose sacrifices made your life possible. Maybe it was an ancestor or a relative that's living. Maybe it's a mentor. Maybe it's someone who believed in you when you couldn't see your own light. I want you to offer them gratitude. Feel their legacy in your breath, your bones, your brilliance, because you're part of something bigger. You're not alone. And as Christian Niff writes in her book, Self-Compassion, whenever I notice something about myself I don't like, or whenever something goes wrong in my life, I silently repeat the following phrases. This is a moment of suffering. Suffering is part of life. May I be kind to myself in this moment. May I give myself the compassion I need. I will also say one of my favorite sayings from Dr. Maya Angelou is, I come as one, but I stand as 10,000. Let these quotes be your mantra today. This Juneteenth, may we remember, may we reflect, and may we recommit to building a future rooted in compassion. Thank you for being here. Thank you for doing the work. If this episode moved you, I hope you share it with someone else. I hope you share it with a colleague, a friend, or someone just navigating the complexity of healing. As always, I am always cheering you on. Thank you for listening. Until next time, remember, your well-being is your most important job, and I'm always here to help.